Person of integrity. What does it actually mean to be a person of integrity? What does that actually mean? Welcome to the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Friday, the 4th of December of 2020, end of the week for a lot of folks in terms of their work week, and I wanted to talk today about integrity. I wanted to remind you that I am available on Rumble on a podcast and on YouTube. You can get my podcast at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. The best search that worked for me when I try to do that is Kurt's Religion and Politics, so you can try searching for the Daily Summation, though I find it to not be as effective. As I say, today's subject is integrity, and I wanted to talk about what it means to be a person of integrity. And actually, I wanted to sort of talk about the basic concept of integrity. You'll notice that I talk a lot in my videos about things that I consider to be really base concepts for life, and this is certainly no exception. Integrity is certainly no exception. Integrity is, if you will, a sort of a wholeness, right? It's a holistic approach to life. Life is sort of a web. It's not a linear thing. We men particularly tend to treat life in a very linear fashion, and I get it in a sense, but the thing is, things relate to things that relate to things that relate to things. And I think ladies have a tendency to handle that whole concept a lot better than men do. And that includes me, by the way. I'm not trying to opt myself out of men doing that, because we do that. Men do that. But the point of integrity is to make it so that things match with other things that match with other things, so that if there's something that has an effect on something else, we take that into consideration and we base our decisions and our conclusions on the fact that those things are related, right? That's an important thing as far as I'm concerned. If you look at the definition for integrity, you see things like steadfast adherence to a strict moral or ethical code. That's not really correct. The state of being unimpaired, soundness. These are things that are coming from Wordnik, and they're coming from the American Heritage Dictionary as far as I'm able to tell. All right, so this is coming from online. But the thing about that is, the reality of integrity is wholeness or soundness or completeness. If you look at the actual etymology of the idea of integrity, it says something like innocence, blamelessness, chastity, purity. But it's more akin sort of to purity than any of the others. And when they talk about this, one of the things that they make an important note is that it is born of the same base words and concepts as integer. Okay, an integer being a whole thing, a complete thing. 1.5, right, is not an integer. We know that. Half is not an integer. So 1.5 obviously can't be 1 either. An integer is 1, 2, 3. So the point is, it's about wholeness, it's about completeness. But when we talk about, for those of us who work in the techie fields, I'm going to go techie on you for just a second, but don't worry, it's not really horribly difficult to understand. There's this concept for databases, and the concept is referential integrity. And the idea is that when something refers to something else, we enforce the fact that it actually refers to something in that other place. So let's say I have a thing that's numbered number 1 in one table, and I refer to it in another table. I can refer to number 1, but if I don't have a number 2, I can't refer to it. It's not allowed. That's not acceptable. This is integrity. Integrity is joining things together in such a way that you don't suffer from what many refer to as cognitive dissonance. What is cognitive dissonance? It is the idea that in one part of your world, you support one idea for one reason, and in another part of your world, you might support an entirely different idea for a reason that has absolutely, not only has nothing to do with the first, but in fact is counter to the first. If you look at the two together, you go, you can't support this and support that, but you will find that people do that anyway. In fact, it's a very common thing, and this is what's referred to when people say cognitive dissonance, when they use that expression. And the point is, this is sort of the opposite of integrity in my mind. Integrity can't allow for cognitive dissonance. It cannot allow for you to support one thing and then support another thing that totally blows that first thing out of the water. It can't allow that. This is what people mean in my mind when they say integrity. Lots of people have some interesting ideas about that. Oh, I support this particular code, this particular perspective. Don't get me wrong. If you support that perspective, that code, then your actions should be in line with that code. That is part of integrity. That's granted. That's part of integrity. But the point is that what you have to do is believe that the code is correct and then integrate it into your lifestyle, into your beliefs, into your considerations, into what you do, how you act. Okay? And the point of integrity then is to be holistic in your approach. So if you believe something is true, then you integrate that into your life. And if you can't integrate it into every aspect of your life, there are questions about whether or not it's really valid. Maybe it's circumstantially valid. I can grant you that. But the point is, from an integrity perspective, as a rule, if something's true, it's true, and you just have to be able to pretty much put it everywhere that it actually applies. That's how that works. And if you can't, then there's really a question about that. It's easily possible to confuse the ideas of integrity and character. I consider character to be a broader scoped word. I consider it to cover more things. You can have integrity when you act badly, right? You can have integrity when you misbehave. You can do that. Now, people will make an argument that your code is bad or whatever, but the point is whether or not the thing that you're supporting, that you're living by, whether the law or the Mosaic law or whatever, the Bible, whatever, they can argue that that's bad. But the point is that is not what decides integrity per se. If you believe in the Mosaic law and you support the Mosaic law, then part of integrity is incorporating actions consistent with that into your lifestyle. If you believe in the Bible, the same is true. If you believe in the Quran, the same is true. Anything that you happen to believe in, whether it's legal, whether it's spiritual, moral, or whatever, Hammurabi's Code, if you really intend to go there. The Magna Carta, the Constitution, right? Any of these things, the point of all of this is that in order for you to maintain integrity, your actions must be consistent with that. From a perspective of character, if you select something that's bad as a sort of a base framework for what you do and what you're integral with, then guess what? The chances are that your character is going to be equally bad. And this is what separates, in my mind, the idea of character from the idea of integrity. With regard to integrity, the important thing is that there are a lot of people out there, and I'll tell you right now that I'm probably among them at times, who do not possess integrity to the degree that we either think, would like to believe, would hope, or whatever you want to say. We don't possess it to that level. And so that's been a major focus in my life, is to try and be a person of integrity. Obviously, before you consider that, you have to consider what it is that you're going to maintain integrity to, right? Codes and so forth, various things that of that sort. Reality. It's important to maintain, in my opinion, an integral perspective with regard to reality. That is to say, what you do, how you act, and so forth should be consistent with what you know to be real. Past that, there are some other things that maybe are articles of faith, if you will, and those things also factor into how you're acting in integrity. I happen to be a Christian. I happen to be a Bible believer. So in my mind, where I'm not great at it and where I don't do it all the time, part of my process of dealing with integrity is to try and make it so that I live within what I see the Bible saying I ought to do and be. I don't do that like I should, and I'll be the first to tell you that. So if you sit there going, you're not good at that, I'll go, yeah, you're probably right. I'm trying, but I admit I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it, and if it weren't for the workings of God within me, I'd probably be a whole heck of a lot worse. So that's saying a lot about how bad I am in the grand scheme of things, I think, probably. But that all having been said, that's kind of my point with integrity. Integrity is having everything that you believe jive and all the things that you do work with what you believe. That's how I see the thing. And I'm willing to obviously hear other people entertain comments and so forth on this, but that's sort of where I am. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you have a good weekend this weekend. I am going to try and get a Daily Summation video out on the 5th of December. That will be Saturday and tomorrow. And hopefully we will see you then. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Friday, the 4th of December of 2020. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for checking out this video. Remember that you can like it on YouTube and you can give it a rumble on Rumble if you want to do that. I have channels on both YouTube and Rumble. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels. You can subscribe to either one of those if you want to do so. Remember, if you subscribe on YouTube, you probably want to click the notification bell in order to be notified of new content. If you want to see more from me, you can check me out on my blog. That's blogs.kpschubert.com, blogs.kpschubert.com. You can also see my Facebook page. That is Kurt's Religion and Politics on Facebook. You can check out my Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com accounts. My handle on all three of those is at kpschubert. That's at kpschubert. You can check out my podcast. The podcast is at podcasts.kpschubert.com. That's podcast.kpschubert.com. And finally, you can check me out on Patreon. And if you want to support me, that's probably one of the better places that you can do that. I am Kurt's Religion and Politics there. Thanks again for checking out this video, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.